Since I was a kid, I've always been a perfectionist. That kid who always had the best grades at school, who always did everything right, who had that kind of, I don't know if fear of failure, but certainly a tendency to play it safe and to not be very fond of trying new ideas and sticking to what it worked and the things that worked, doing them perfectly. Like, no room for mistakes. And even though it's something that I've been working on for several years, it's always something that kicks back when things don't go the way I want. For example, last video was about dealing with failure, but now I'm talking about perfectionism, which I think that is the cool thing about life, because in some areas you may dominate some concepts better, but in others you don't. So yeah, perfectionism is a thing that always haunted me since I was a kid. Like, getting a B wasn't the same like getting an A, even though the exam was good enough. It was never good enough in my head. But this isn't like a problem that my parents instilled on me, because they've always been like so cool with me not getting perfect grades or so, and they always told me like, hey, if you do not pass an exam, it's okay. Like, mistakes are okay to make. It was kind of a self-inflicted, I don't know, tendency to behave, you know? And that hasn't been cool at all, because a lot of times I've suffered a lot because I didn't have the perfect day, or my work wasn't perfect, or some kind of problem like that. So for example, this week I had not an event, it was like this week I struggled a lot with inspiration and getting ideas for my other YouTube channels. Because yeah, here you don't know me, but I do have other YouTube channels where I make videos. And this week I struggled a lot with getting the work done and actually being creative, you know? And this has been like fucking up my head a lot, because I was supposed to do certain things that I didn't do. Partly because I was procrastinating, but the other part because I was just trying to be too perfect and have the perfect conditions to write a video or to brainstorm ideas or to do all of that kind of stuff, you know? And, well, it's always a mental battle, especially when you're kind of in a process of trying to be your best self. Damn, fuck this cow. When you're trying to be your best self, you always try to do everything right and try to maintain a day-long productivity, not only by working or studying, but also by doing productive things. So sometimes you feel guilty when you're watching Netflix or playing a game or doing something like that. And I don't think that is a healthy mindset at all, because when you are working, you are thinking about resting, and when you are resting, you're thinking about working. And that is a recipe for disaster. So perfectionism is kind of a stupid thing, because it does more harm than good. So, for example, if I... Damn, there we go. For example, if I had an assignment where I had to take the perfect picture and only show that picture to my professor, I would struggle a lot delivering a correct or a picture at all. But if in the other case I took 250 pictures and selected the best from that, probably I would have better pictures than if I just limited myself to just capture the perfect angle or the perfect shot. So perfectionism is kind of this thing that makes you avoid doing things because they are not good enough, while in the contrary, doing many times the same thing is what will actually get you closer to that kind of perfectionism. So when you're a perfectionist, you get this kind of paralysis from analysis where you want to do everything perfect, and also struggle a lot by applying the things that you learn because they are not good enough, or you don't know enough, or you are afraid of making mistakes. Because that is, in essence, the problem of people who are perfectionists. They are afraid of making mistakes. And as I told you last video, I am starting to ingrain in my mindset that failure doesn't exist. Because by ingraining that failure doesn't exist, you can perform better by being willingly or by willing to commit mistakes and to fail and to fuck up and to not be good enough and all of that kind of stuff, which I found very healthy. Instead of punishing myself for not being perfect, I'll just let myself fail but always learn something from it. And I think that it's hard because some days it comes easier than others. And I mean, I think that it's something that with time you can always solve. But if just a little bit like me, you probably have the same issue. And the only way to combat this kind of perfectionism is to actually be aware of it and take massive action. But you cannot, if you're a perfectionist, you'll be very resistant to taking loads of action and on big projects. So the solution I found especially was to just take baby steps where I am willing to fail and not be good enough, but taking action still. And also lowering my ego that I have to be perfect at everything I do, because in reality I'm 20 years old and I cannot possibly have everything right. So letting yourself be the fool is, I think, that the best solution, alongside taking little action, that I think that will massively improve your struggle with perfectionism. Because, however, sometimes you can go in the complete extreme. Like, you are not a perfectionist and you just take massive action but never learn from your failures, which I've also been there. On a previous YouTube channel I only took action, and never did something about it. And that's also not the answer. The answer is just to try to do the best that you can while trying to improve from the things that you think that you can get better next time. Oh, that's another portal. So yeah, I think that is basically the answer. But that's my previous village, right? Yeah, I think so. So I think that's mainly the answer to perfectionism. But it doesn't seem such, when you're dealing with it, the answer doesn't seem such obvious when you're thinking through rationally. So that's why I'm talking about the little steps, because knowing is not just, oh yeah, let's go. It's not just half of the battle. It's kind of a little part of the battle. So I'm going to sleep right now. And that's why you need to slowly but steady take action on defeating those kind of limiting beliefs that you have. Because life won't be perfect, and if you try and always be perfect of what you're actually doing, you'll never make any kind of progress in anything. Because perfectionists don't act. Perfectionists don't take risks. Perfectionists don't ask that girl out. Perfectionists don't dare to start a business or do that kind of thing. They play it safe because that deep insecurity that they have is just unbearable. That insecurity of being wrong and being the fool and making mistakes and potentially people disapproving them and not loving them because of their mistakes is a thing that I struggle a lot and perfectionists struggle a lot. I think that it will be cool to make a difference here where I try to make the difference between the way that I talk to myself. I am not a perfectionist. I have a tendency to be perfectionist. I think that it's a great way to talk to yourself because you're not talking in terms of absolutes, like I am this way and I'll never change, but rather I am this way, I have a tendency to act like this, but it's okay because I'm working on it. A turtle! But yeah, like I think that this is the main issue also, like talking to yourself in a way that helps you, not that it limits you and just fuck yourself up even more. I'm not sure what's that's lava in the map. Okay. So yeah, I think that perfectionism is kind of shitty, but that it's, I don't know, it's a thing that we have to get right soon enough in our lives. Because imagine if you spend the rest of your life as a perfectionist and never act on it. I think there's something there. Yeah. Never act on it and you'll spend the rest of your life being a coward. And a thing that hurts me more than being a perfectionist is the possibility of being a coward. So I don't want to be a coward at all, so I might as well get along with failure just for now. So yeah, see you next time.